Okay, so I'm going to explain our Unit 1 project, The Mystery of Phlogiston. This is an individual project where you may work with one other person. If you are working with someone, you need to let me know by Tuesday, October 21st, our class time. The backstory. In the late 1700s, a new explanation for changes in mass during burning emerged. French chemist Antoine Lavoisier carefully studied combustion, which is burning, and proposed that it wasn't phlogiston being released, but rather something else being added, a gas called oxygen. Lavoisier showed that during burning, substances combine with oxygen from the air, which explained the increase in the final mass. This idea helped launch modern chemistry and replaced the phlogiston theory once and for all. Still, imagine being a scientist back then trying to choose between two very different explanations. And not to mention that you've also learned that the law of conservation of mass tells us that the mass of the reactants must equal the mass of the products. So your objectives. You're going to analyze the historical debate between the phlogiston theory and Lavoisier's oxygen theory and decide which explanation better fits modern scientific understanding. You need to use your lab data, observations, and vocabulary from this unit. Students are going to construct a CER, claim, evidence, reasoning argument, either supporting or refuting Lavoisier's claims about oxygen and combustion. So two good labs to use is our mass change lab, one of the first ones we did, and then our gas laws lab with the Alka-Seltzer. And there may be another lab. I'm just giving you hints. You have to do some work. Your final submission must include a clear claim stating whether you support or refute Lavoisier's explanation of combustion, so that should be written out in detail, at least 3 pieces of evidence drawn from class labs, demonstrations, or data tables. So, for example, I put mass changes, gas volume, or pressure readings, and a detailed reasoning section that connects your evidence to your claim using scientific concepts. Some scientific terms that must be included in your project are matter, mass, conservation of mass, volume, density, pressure, metric units, gas attractions, meaning the kinetic molecular theory. So the work may be represented as a written report. It can be a multimedia presentation, meaning a PowerPoint or a Prezi, or a visual poster, okay? And depending on teacher instructions. So I'm sure Mrs. Starker is fine with any of those. You need to make sure you have your title of your project, include your name and a partner's name if you're doing it with a partner, and a class period. You need to make sure you're using metric units in all quantitative data. So quantitative meaning numerical data. You need to cite any sources of evidence, meaning cite the lab title, cite the demonstration. Your writing should be clearly organized in the CER structure, claim, evidence, reasoning. Your project should be neat, labeled, and scientifically accurate. Optional are particle model drawings showing how gas particles behave during combustion. This is going to be mentioned again in the rubric. Okay, so speaking of the rubric, this is how you will be graded. Your claim is worth 4 points. So if your clear, precise claim, if you have a clear, precise claim that directly addresses Lavoisier's theory, you get 4 points. A clear claim that's slightly general, 3 points. An incomplete or unclear claim, 2 points. And if you don't write a claim, you basically get 0 points. Evidence, 4 points. If you have at least 3 accurate, detailed pieces of relevant lab evidence, and you cite where they're from, like which lab or which demo, that's 4 points. If you only have 2 pieces of relevant evidence with some detail, that's 3 points. 1 piece of vague or weak evidence is 2 points, and missing or inaccurate evidence is 1 point. Your reasoning is 6 points. That's a lot. To get your 6 points, you have to show thorough reasoning, which logically connects all the evidence to the claim using all key concepts and vocabulary correctly. If you have reasoning that partially connects evidence to the claim using limited vocabulary and concepts, depending on what you do there, you can get 4 or 5 points. That's teacher discretion based on reading what you wrote. Reasoning is missing or unrelated. That could be like anywhere from 1 to 3 points depending on what you write. Scientific vocabulary, 3 points. And concepts. If you use all your key terms appropriately and accurately, you get all 3 points. If you use most of them, 2 points. If you have some of them, but with errors, you get 1 point. And then, oops, that should say few, not Q. Few or no key terms used is basically 0 points. Presentation and clarity. Highly organized, neat labeled visuals, and if you use the particle model to enhance understanding, then you get 4 points. If you're just clear and organized with few formatting issues, that's 3 points. Some organization, but your visuals are unclear, 2 points. And disorganized or incomplete work, you only get 1 point. If you have any questions after I've now reviewed this or as you're working, please see your teacher. Thank you.